What's something that's not right about your body, but not serious enough to go to a doctor about? One side of my body is thinner than the other. When you grab it you can easily notice the difference. I have a similar thing. My waist is pretty indented on only one side of my body. When I was in super awesome shape, it kind of looked like I had feminine curves on that side. Maybe you have scoliosis? Sometimes I'll have one random hair that grows out of my arm that has the consistency of plastic and is almost clear looking. My mom gets it too. It's just one hair. I used to get that on my face. Every month or so it grew out of my chin/cheek area. It stopped appearing after a few years, which is good cause it would itch. I've never heard of anyone else who had this outside of my family. That's crazy. I haven't gotten one of those in a little while, but my mom still occasionally gets them as well. I'm super prone to ulcers. If it gets bad enough I get medication, but usually I just recognize the symptoms and know it's diet time again. Let me tell you, it sucks not having anything spicy or greasy or acidic. Those are my favorite things, but my tummy won't have it most of the time. Can't even have raw veggies, and I love salad. My collarbone is always sore, to the point that it keeps me up at night. I guess I technically did go to a doctor. I went right after it started hurting and they accused me of drug seeking. That was a year and a half ago. I'll just live with it. I had a similar issue that had been bothering me near my sternum for months. My doc recommended magnesium supplements. After about a month of taking them daily I felt normal again. Ooh, thanks. I should try this. I'm only horny like once every 5 days. There can be literal weeks that go by where I'm just not into it. Don't even watch porn. I sleep well, exercise 5 to 6 times a week. I'm not stressed, and I'm a guy in my late 20s. It's literally ruined relationships for me. There's nothing I can do about it. Doctor says my T levels are normal range. Edit, to everyone asking if I'm asexual, I'm interested in women, I enjoy sex, just not as frequently as is perceived as normal. So no, not asexual. Dude. That's pretty normal. I know a lot of guys like that. It's okay to not want sex. I have a bifiduvula https://www.medicalnewstoday.com/articles/3208886 causes, looks like a little upside down heart that's hanging in the back of your mouth. I never had any problems from it, and it definitely wasn't caused by any of the things listed in the article I linked, but there it is. Funny thing is, my twin has a normal uvula, and we're identical twins. Maybe you were triplets and that's all that's left of him, a silent scream until you die. Shudder / I hope not. That would be a bit creepy and very sad. Frown. I used to have a hedgehog named Velcro. I'd let him run around on my bed. One morning I slid out of bed and got a sharp pain in my left ass cheek. I walked to the bathroom and saw that I had a ½ inch of quill lodged firmly in my haunch. I pulled out what I could and thought I got it all. It wept a few times and eventually healed. It'd been 20 years, and I still have a scab on my ass that falls off once a month, and comes back in a few days. I can feel there's something deep under the skin, but because of the bad angle, there's no way I can take care of it without a dermatologist's help. Now every time I see Velcro, I'm going to think of your ass. Thanks. I hate it. I live in the US. Nothing is serious enough to go to a doctor about. My penis curves to the side like a boomerang. Boomerang. I have a minor issue in my right knee, a third, but tiny, nipple under my normal-sized right one, which is slightly higher placed than the one on my left, asymmetrical abs and a slightly blurry vision in my left eye. Not necessarily wrong, but weird I guess. I like how you just casually throw in the third nipple. Well, I had it my entire life, so it's nothing special to me. Honestly, I just want to mention it sometimes. I got a concussion early January this year and I still don't feel the same 11 months later. No doctors could do anything about it as it's just post-concussion syndrome and it's somewhat common for it to affect people for a year or more after. It's rough. I'm 11 years out from a horrible TBI, ICU for a week, luckily no surgery, and I honestly don't know when I was 100% again. It took at least 5 years, and it was a lot of learning new ways to do things I did very naturally before. My 100% now is probably at least 25% different from what it was. I hope your injury wasn't as bad as mine. My left leg makes cracking sounds when I walk upstairs. My ankles make cracking sounds all the time, but I've never figured out why. It can be when walking upstairs or just waking up in the morning and just moving them, but never every time I do a certain thing. My big toes cracked consistently with every step, wakes my son up in the morning. Sneak -2. I am 24. Yet I feel like a 90-year-old. Always tired and groggy and exhausted. I think it's just life. I'm only 23 and go through that same hell every day. Turns out I have B12 and vitamin D deficiency, and I'm depressed obviously. Obviously, you know that little flap anchoring your tongue to the bottom of your mouth? Mine's abnormally short, so I can't stick my tongue out as far as the average person. Technically it was a doctor who told me I had that in the first place. I hadn't ever noticed it on my own, and they were trying to examine my throat for unrelated reasons and were getting annoyed that I wouldn't stick my tongue out farther as instructed. They eventually realized it wasn't just non-compliance and diagnosed the issue, then just kind of put up with a suboptimal throat view. But it's not what I was there for, plus they said corrective surgery is an option and I've never cared enough to follow up on that. So I'm counting it. Surgery for a tight frenulum is a seriously easy surgery that can be done in the office. If you'd want to, it could be fixed in like 5 minutes. Just in case you've never heard that before. Yeah, corrective surgery is my phrasing and not the doctor's. The exact wording was more like some people with this have it cut, so I already assumed it was like you're saying. I have asthma, yet I can play trumpet in my band better than people older than me. I can just picture a guy having an asthma attack while playing his trumpet and just shoots his asthma pump from the trumpet spell so he doesn't have to stop playing XD. I mean, does being a dwarf count? I'm technically disabled, and malformed, but there's nothing to be done about it. Just living my life really. Does kinda meet the letter of the ask, but I suppose it depends if you think of it as not right or as just the way you are having to live your life. I have a singular, white eyelash on one of my eyes that grows really quickly and gets so long it'll get in my actual eye, and I need to cut it every couple of months to keep it short. Edit. Continuing on the topic of hair, all over my body I have hair that have multiple hairs growing out of one follicle. These hairs are also super easy and painless to pull out. It's so weird. I had a hair like that on my upper arm, would grow like a head hair until I would pinch it off. Was there for like 5 years, then disappeared without a trace, just as I was getting fond of him. His name is Robert Paulson. I'm 90% certain I have vitiligo, but I'm a pale-ass Slav and I can only notice it on my nether regions because it makes a patch of my pubes blonde. I think this summer I should get a tan to confirm this. Do you have access to a blacklight or woods lamp? I'm pretty pale, but I was noticing blotches on my skin that were paler. I thought I just applied sunscreen unevenly on my hands and cheeks, but eventually I went to a doctor and they shined a black light on the affected areas. The areas without pigment stood out significantly compared to my normal skin. I'll give it a try, thanks. I have a birth defect. Roof of my mouth ain't right. Nobody ever caught it until I was 20. I think my sinuses are weird too because COVID tests are very bad. I don't really have a speech impediment except sometimes my R is W. The roof of my mouth is higher than normal. Spent my childhood in speech therapy and R's still come out as W's if I'm talking too fast and not thinking about it. I sneeze when I eat chocolate. Just twice and that's it. Sometimes it happens, sometimes not. Apparently it's a thing for some people to sneeze when they are turned on. So is it chocolate or something else? Greater than apparently it's a thing for some people to sneeze when they are turned on. Yep. I have this. Edit. Proof https://www.reddit.com/r/r/sreddit/comment/7t2hpx/any_start_start_kinda. I'm a little overweight, and I know how to fix this myself. Same here. If you're having trouble getting started with weight loss, get into Just Dance, super cheap on mobile, or Ring Fit Adventure. In a month of playing Just Dance 4 days a week, I lost 6 kilograms. I have Raynaud's disease. It's a rare disorder of the blood vessels, commonly in fingers and toes, but also can happen on ears, nose or lips. It causes the blood vessels to narrow when you are cold and can happen if you're stressed. When this happens, the blood can't get to the surface of the skin and the affected areas turn white and blue and making them numb. Hurts like heck. No cure, just have to prevent yourself from getting too cold, like wear gloves or have the hand warmers with you. Hello fellow wears gloves in the freezer section of the grocery store person. I have a birth defect in my sternum called pectus excavatum, aka funnel chest. Look it up, it's interesting. My sternum is not shaped normal, it caves in, creating a funnel in my chest. Since I'm female, it's not entirely noticeable, but it can be felt. And I can hold a puddle of water in it. It does limit the space in my chest cavity, so I can feel when something isn't right with my heart more than most, and can make my claustrophobia worse, but other than that it doesn't cause many issues. I have looked it up, and the procedure to fix it doesn't seem worth it and is usually done for cosmetic reasons, so wouldn't be covered by insurance. My fiancé has this. It doesn't bother him, but he sees a doctor every 6 months to make sure his heart is okay because it is super close to the bone. I have the tip of a pencil stuck in my knee, but it doesn't hurt or bother me. If you don't have pencil leads stuck somewhere in your body, did you even have a childhood? Yep, got one on the back of my hand. That guy was a jerk. Pouting face. I throw up after I eat eggs. I really like eggs though. Vomiting after consuming something is often a sign of an allergy. Check with a doc on this one. My chest sometimes hurts like a mini heart attack, but only when I get super baked. I assume my doctor will just tell me to quit getting super baked. Can confirm, that is what they will tell you. If it gets worse, maybe consider stopping smoking pot, though. I was fine for years until it started triggering panic attacks just about every time. I have 2 uvulas. Every time I see a uvula comment, my brain reads it as vulva. I'm a girl, if that makes this comment any better. You just can't tell from my username. Actually, don't look at my username in relation to this comment. My hip always hurts, especially in cold weather. But doctors would say to just take a Tylenol and rest. Same, but my knees, and it happens when the weather changes. Yep. My left knee and left elbow. Both had dislocation injuries. I can tell about 2 days before the weather is going to turn to shit. I remember one day I was complaining about my knee aching, and said, "Oh, we're gonna have a storm in a few days." And he looked at me like I was crazy, pulled the weather up on his phone and was like, "This says it's going to be sunny all week." 2 days later a tornado hit our town. I'm like a chubby Great Value Shakira, these joints don't lie. Skin tags, so many skin tags. How's your blood sugar? This can be a sign of high blood sugar. You might want to get that checked. But, it can also just happen from friction, like where your bra strap rubs. I am getting man boobs but have yet to need a bra. Perhaps strangely my blood sugar is normal. The texture of the skin on my right palm changed after I was sick back in March. Sometimes it's bubbly and really itchy, sometimes it looks just really tight and glossy, and sometimes it's so dry that the skin is cracking up. I can definitely see a difference between the right and the left one. The little roads, fingerprints, on the palm, on my right palm aren't as visible anymore. Sounds like eczema, ask a doctor for steroid cream. It helps. Try to keep your hands moisturized and avoid soaps, detergents, and disinfectants as much as you can, which to be honest isn't easy right now. Be careful with steroid cream because it can shrink or enlarge veins around the area after extended use as well as thin your skin.